Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be telling you guys all of the books I have read so far in 2022. And this year, so far, I have read 17 books and I am reading like 2 at the moment, I think. I know this is not the normal type of content that I make, but I thought, why not make a book video? Because I personally love watching book videos. I think I would enjoy making them because I love talking about books. So I thought, why not just make one? Let me know if you guys want to see more of these videos, if you don't want to see these videos. Any feedback is appreciated. First, let's pull up my Goodreads because I might not remember the ratings that I gave all of the books and stuff. Before I say the books I've read so far this year, let me explain to you guys my rating system. So for me, 1 star is like, what the heck is this book? This is so terrible. Please never read this. This should go burn in the trash. 2 stars is like, this book was really not for me. I mean, it was kind of bad, to be honest. 3 stars is like, the book was fine. It might have had good parts I liked. It might have had some bad parts. It kind of just overall is neutral. 4 stars is, I enjoyed this book and I would definitely recommend it. And then 5 stars is,
oh my gosh, you need to stop what you're doing and go buy this right now.
The first book I read this year was Without Merit by Colleen Hoover, and I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this book, but I just felt like there could have been more of like a twist or something in it. Basically, the book is about this girl named Merit, and her family is hiding all of these secrets, and only a few people know each other's secrets, but they don't know that the other people know it. And overall, her family is just very complicated, and this is also a YA book, I believe. As the book goes on, some of the secrets get exposed, and then things happen because those secrets are exposed. But overall, I definitely would recommend this book, and you should definitely read it. The genre for that one is like fiction, and it does have a subplot of romance. The next book I read was The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This book is really hyped on like BookTube and stuff like that, but personally I did not enjoy this book. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. To me, it just felt a bit flat. I felt like the characters were definitely underdeveloped. I felt like the book was trying to be a self-help book when that's not really what I wanted. Like, I felt like the topics in it were deep, which I do enjoy in a book. I felt like the author didn't go about them in the correct way, but I've also realized I really just don't like male authors in general. I have yet to find a male author that I really enjoy, but personally I just really didn't enjoy this book. The genre is fiction and it has a little bit of fantasy in it. Nora Seed is the main character, and she basically dies like at the very beginning of the book. That's not a spoiler. And the whole book is about what happens after her death. She goes to this library called the Midnight Library, and it's basically filled with books of what could have happened in all of her other lives if she had taken a different route or made a different decision in any event. And I really like the concept of it, but I personally just didn't like the writing style of this particular book. The next book I read this year was Bunny by Mona Wad, and I gave this book a 1 out of 5 stars. And let me show you guys what I wrote on my review. I put, this book was so confusing. Also, the author described things too deeply that didn't need to be described like that. Overall, it was very confusing and weird, and I'm happy to finally finish it to actually move on to a good book. I do not recommend this book. So this book is about some girls that basically join this cult type of thing where things morph into bunnies. It's just a really weird book. I don't even know how to explain it because I was bored halfway through it and it wasn't memorable, so I don't remember many things about it. But overall, it was a really bad book and I do not recommend. The genre was just like kind of fiction, and I guess it had a little bit of fantasy because it had like mystical elements to it, but it was just really weird. The next book was Layla by Colleen Hoover, and I gave this 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this book. I just felt like it didn't meet my requirements for 5 stars, but it's overall a really good book and I definitely recommend. It's about this girl named Layla and this guy named Leeds, I believe. They go back to where they first met, and it's like one of those stories with 2 different occurring timelines. Leeds is feeling very distant from Layla, and he basically meets this ghost that is in the house, and the ghost's name is Willow, and he makes like unlikely friends with her, and then there's like some crazy plot twists at the end and stuff that happens. It was overall really good and I enjoyed it. The genres are thriller and paranormal, and I guess it has a subplot of romance. The next book that I read was Good Girl, Bad Blood, and this is the sequel to A Good Girl's Guide to Murder by Holly Jackson. I had read the first book in December and the sequel was just as good. I rated this book 4 stars because I did really enjoy it. I can't really differentiate what happens in the different books, so I can't really really say like exactly what happened because I don't remember what happened in each book. I kind of just think of the series as a whole. But after this, I read As Good as Dead, which is the final book in the series. But the whole series as a whole is basically about this girl named Pip, and a murder happens in her town, and for one of her school projects, she decides to bring the case back to light because the guy who is convicted of doing it, she doesn't think he actually did it, and all these secrets get like revealed and stuff like that. And each book is kind of just about a new case that she tries to solve in her town because her town like has a lot of wacky stuff going on. This is a YA murder mystery with a subplot of romance. Here was my review for the whole series as a whole. I wrote, I love this series with all of my heart. I admire Pippa in so many ways. Pip and Robbie's relationship is also so cute. If you aren't sure whether you want to continue the series with this book or even if you want to start the series, do it, you won't regret it. The characters are so well written and each of them are so diverse, and while reading you feel like you know them. While reading the series, you get lost in the world of Fairview, Connecticut, and you feel like you're solving each investigation with Pippa. This series was so dang good and I highly recommend it to anyone and everyone. I'm so sad to be done with the series, but I'm also so excited to read more books. So, if you can't tell, I really enjoyed the series as a whole. Overall rating for the whole series, I think I would probably give it a 4.5 stars. The next book I read was Beach Read by Emily Henry, and I did enjoy this book. I give it 3 out of 5 stars. My review for this was I really liked this book. I don't think it had anything super special to it, and I think a plot twist would have been nice, but overall it was a super cozy romance and the ending was adorable. This book is a romance book. I did feel like the storyline was just a little bit flat, so that's why it didn't get a 4 stars. It's about this girl who moves into her father's old home after he died. Her neighbor turns out to be her academic rival from college, and they were kind of enemies, so it's enemies to lovers, and they form like an unlikely relationship. And her and this guy that she was rivals with are both authors. They're both in a writing slump and they decide to switch genres for the summer. So she writes romance, I believe, and I think he writes historical fiction, but they basically just decide to switch for the summer and see how that goes. Overall, it wouldn't be my top recommendation, but if you want to read it, I would say go ahead for it because it is overall a pretty good book. The next book I'm not going to reminisce on too much. It is The Pearl by John Steinbeck. I had to read this for school. Overall, I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars, and my review said, had to read this for school, lol. It's basically about this guy who finds a pearl in his town and he thinks it's worth a lot, but then people are saying it's not worth a lot, but he thinks it is, so he tries to scavenger out to this new town to see if he can get a better price for the pearl. And then there's like some crazy stuff that happens on the way. The next book I read was Gone Girl by Gillian Flye. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I would read my review, but it does have spoilers in it, sadly. But basically, there's this guy, Nick, and it is his and his wife's 5th anniversary, and that morning she goes missing. No one knows what happened to her. He doesn't know what happened to her, so the police, obviously the first person they always question is the husband, and this story has 2 timelines going on, and you kind of see the backstory of what led up to her disappearing, and you slowly figure out what happened. And then there's also the storyline of what's going on with him, and it switches between him and her. He is the present, she is the past. And it's overall just a really good murder mystery. I don't know what else I can say without spoiling it really, but I definitely do recommend if you want a good murder mystery. The next book I read was The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Armas, and this book I gave a 4 out of 5 stars because I did really enjoy this book a lot. It was just too long for me. I felt like they definitely could have cut out even like 100 pages of this book and it still would have been fine, but I really love the book. If it had been shorter, I definitely would have given it a 5 out of 5 stars. This book is a cute little enemies to lovers romance. This main girl, Lena, she is going to, I think it's like her sister's wedding or something like that in Spain, and she's told her sister she has a boyfriend, but she really doesn't. So then she's like, crap, who do I get to be my boyfriend? And this guy at work that she does not like, Aaron, he volunteers to be her date to the wedding in Spain, and they basically start fake dating, and then they actually start liking each other, so a relationship forms, and you kind of just get to see how they go from enemies to lovers, and it's really cute, and I definitely do recommend. It's just a little long. The next book I read was The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, and I gave this book a 3 out of 5 stars. Some people are gonna come at me for this, but personally I think Greek mythology isn't my favorite genre, and I think that's why I didn't give it a high rating. I definitely do see why lots of people did though. I do enjoy historical fiction, but not like Greek mythology type of thing. I just don't think that's my jam. but this book is really sad and it's super cute. It's basically about this guy named Patroclus, and he gets exiled from his kingdom and he gets sent to live in Achilles' kingdom, and then a relationship forms between them, and then they have to go off to battle, and you kind of just see their whole journey together with friendship and love and all of those cute topics. It is a romance and a Greek mythology book, but overall it was super cute and I did enjoy it. I just felt like it was a little boring at a lot of parts to me, but there were definitely good parts in it for sure. And the ending, I cannot with the ending, guys. And also I felt like it was hard to keep track of all of the characters, especially because they all had really complicated names, so I would like get them all mixed up with each other. So if you like Greek mythology, definitely read this. If not, maybe this one should be a skip for you. The next book I read was The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood, and I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. This book is a romance. I did enjoy it, but I just felt like it was flat at some points and it didn't have like enough going on in the book. It was just too slow at some parts for me, but overall it was a pretty good book. It's about this girl named Olive who tells her friend she has a boyfriend when she really doesn't, and she sees her friend and she had told her friend that on that night she was with her boyfriend, so just on a whim she kisses the nearest person to her. I know, not very realistic, and it turns out to be one of the teachers at the school, Adam Carlson, but she's in college, so it's not like a big deal or anything. So then basically they agree to fake date, so then her friend will think they're together, and obviously you know how fake dating works. A relationship starts to form, and it's basically just about their whole relationship forming, and it's really cute, and I definitely do recommend. The next book I read was Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover. Guys, if you can't tell that I like this book, look how long my review was. I gave this book a 5 out of 5 stars. This book did it for me so much. Oh my gosh, I cannot even. The book is about this girl, Kenna, who went to prison, and we don't know why at the beginning, and it basically follows her in her journey, and we know that she has a daughter named Diem who lives in this town, so she tries to go back to that town and find her because she had her in prison, so she doesn't know where the daughter is. She knows who she ended up with, but she's just basically trying to reconnect with her daughter, and she meets this guy named Ledger who lives inside of that town, and we find out things about Ledger, and we find out things about her daughter, and it's really just about her trying to find her daughter again, but it's so much more than that. It's not even just that. It has so many plot twists in it. You know, we find out what happened, why she went to prison, we find out all these things about all these people, and it's just such a good book. The genres are just like fiction, I would say, and then romance. It is so freaking good. The next book I read was The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins, and I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I actually listened to this on audiobook, so I didn't physically read it, but it obviously still counts. It's basically about this girl who is on the train every single day, and she sees this couple, and then one day she doesn't see the husband anymore, and she's like, oh my gosh, what happened to him? And then she tries to get involved in this investigation, and we find out he was murdered. That's not really a spoiler though. We like kind of figure out that really early in the book, but we find out he was actually murdered, and she tries to insert herself into the investigation, and she finds out she had so many connections to this man, and it's just all about finding out who the killer is, and the killer surprised me so much. I would have rated it higher. I just felt that at some parts it was moving a little too slow, and I was like, okay, come on, speed it up. But yeah, it was overall a good book, and I definitely do recommend. It was a murder mystery. The next book I read was The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. This book I gave 4.5 stars. It was so good. This book is a sports romance, and it's YA. It's between Bree and Nathan, and Bree and Nathan have been best friends since childhood, but they both have feelings for each other, and both of them don't want to ruin the friendship because they think the other person won't reciprocate the feelings, so they keep the feelings hidden. But then one day the feelings accidentally come out of one person, but the other person's not sure if that's what they meant to say, and all of this stuff happens, and it's just about their relationship forming, really, and it is so freaking good and cute. I love this book. Definitely go read it. The next book I read was The Perfect Couple by Ellen Hilderbrand, and I gave this 3.75 stars. My review said, overall, I really enjoyed this book and I would definitely recommend it. The reason it is 3.75 stars is because I did enjoy the book, but sometimes it was hard to keep up with all the characters, and it could feel hard to connect with them at times because the book was in third person. I also found the ending a bit anticlimactic, but nonetheless, the book as a whole was a good, fun read. So the book is about this wedding that's going on in Nantucket. The bridesmaid is found dead the day of the wedding, and basically no one knows what happened to her. The wedding obviously is canceled, and the whole book is just about them trying to find out what happened to her. Her name's Merritt, and I just realized I've read 2 books this year with the girl named Merritt, Without Merritt and The Perfect Couple. Anyways, yeah, I definitely would recommend this book. It was super cute, it's super good. Third person kind of made it hard to get like really connected with it because you didn't feel like the character's thoughts and stuff as much as I felt like you could have if it was in first person. But overall, really good book, definitely recommend. The final book that I have read so far this year is It Ends With Us. This was my second time reading this. I read it in like October, and as you can see, I tabbed it. I used all of my pink tabs on this book. I loved this book so much. This book I gave 5 out of 5 stars. It deserves it. This is by Colleen Hoover, by the way. I love Colleen Hoover, if you can't tell. This book is about this girl named Lily and this guy named Ryle, and her and Ryle start to get together, but then this guy from her past comes named Atlas. We love Atlas. If you like Ryle, you can leave. There is the door. But if you like Atlas, you are allowed to stay. Atlas is so cute. It's basically just about her relationships with Ryle, but it's so much more than that. This book is a fiction with subplots of romance, and it has grief, and it has all of these topics in it. Definitely check the trigger warnings for all of these books, but this book is so good. I love it. Currently, I am reading Atomic Habits by James Clear. I thought I would include the books I'm currently reading as well. I'm on page 151 of this. I'm rereading it. Really good. Definitely love it. I'm taking notes on it so I can actually remember all of the tips and tricks that it gives. Let me show you guys literally how many notes I have taken so far in this book, and I am not even halfway through it. So this is everything that I have learned from Atomic Habits so far. It's a good book, definitely recommend. I'm also listening to the audiobook currently of Dark Places by Gillian Flynn, which is the same author as Gone Girl. Okay so far, nothing's really happened much yet, so I can't really rate it. And then I have The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue here that I have not started yet. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you want to keep updated on what books I'm reading, make sure to follow my Goodreads. I will have it linked down below. Friend request me, we can be Goodreads friends and compare books and stuff like that. That'd be so fun. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you want to see more of these types of videos. I love you guys, and I will see you guys in this video. Bye.